Welcome, ass munches, to TP for Your Earholes. I am Patrick Schmidt, and I have a co-host. Who's my co-host?
Your co-host is Charlene Schmidt.
Yeah, and today we're talking about a time and place in Beavis and Butt-head history that we never get to see, which is their 20s and their 30s.
Yep. Everything else has been covered in some respect. We've had flashbacks to their younger years. We see middle-aged Beavis and Butt-head quite frequently now. We've seen old Beavis and Butt-head. But we're missing what happens after their adolescence, and so you and I have taken the week to think of theories and come up with some answers, potentially. This is all speculative, of course, but I don't know about you, but I had a fun time trying to dissect how this portion of their lives might or might not have gone.
Definitely, because there are certain milestones we hit in that time that I don't think they hit. And that's part of what we're going to explore today.
Absolutely. And so before we get into it, let's tell everybody how you can get in contact with us. You can go to Blue Sky, Instagram, or Facebook and find us. Just type in TP for Your Earholes. And you can go to our website, tpforyourearholes.com. You can reach out with the contact form, or you can just hit us up on social or whatever. Just let us know you're out there. We love hearing from you. You are also on YouTube, and if you want to leave us a comment there, please do that.
Another place that you can go that's really going to help us, your favorite podcast platform, whatever that is, go and leave a really, really nice, good review. If you hate us, don't do this. But if you like us, leave that good review. It does help boost us in the algorithm. And we live in the age of algorithms, so we got to play with them, not against them. And we appreciate when you do that for us. So thank you.
Yes. And who knows, maybe we'll even read reviews once we start getting more in. Ooh.
That'd be awesome.
You could hear your name on the podcast. Wow.
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, are you ready to dive into this?
I am, because just like you mentioned, it's really, really interesting in this series that we've seen them at every other stage in life. Now we kind of get to explore what this might have looked like. And I think this is even more sort of an interesting topic now that we've seen middle-aged Beavis and Butt-head so much in the latest reboot. So I'm ready to go.
And I agree with you, for the record. Seeing middle-aged Beavis and Butt-head gives us a lot of context into what happened during these lost years. There is one tiny thing that might have been an exception to this whole premise, though, and that is the 2005 Video Music Awards, where Beavis and Butt-head had a very brief little thing. They're dressed up in sweaters, and it seems like they're a tiny bit older than when we leave off with them in original Beavis and Butt-head. But you know what? I'm not buying it. That was some sort of pipe dream. Maybe MTV dressed them up. They look so well-to-do that that's just not plausible. So I am just clearing the slate of that right from the get-go. Just want everybody to know.
Fair. And of course, this is purely speculation on our part. But hey, that's part of the fun of all this, is when there's no content, we get to fill our headcanons with whatever we want. So that's what we're going to do.
That's right. We're filling in the blanks, and if you think we're completely full of it, we just told you how to contact us. Let us know what your theories are.
Sounds great.
Now, with that said, when you constructed our show structure, you had the same exact idea I did, which was life milestones they did not meet.
Yes.
The first of those being, did they finish high school? What's your answer?
No.
Yeah, same.
No, they did not. Now, that said, I think we have different takes on what happened.
Yeah, so tell me yours.
So I think they hit the compulsory age where they could leave. Someone told them they could leave, and they left. If you remember, because we grew up in the same area, I think our compulsory age was 16. You had to be in school until you were 16. But once you turned 16, you could drop out. I think that's what Beavis and Butt-head did, was they got to 16, 16 in a month, 16 in 2 months, 16 in 3 months, and then someone told them, hey, this is a thing. You don't have to be here if you don't want to. You're 16 now. And they were like, what? School ends?
It can for you if you want.
That's my theory, but I think you've got a different take.
I've got a couple of takes, actually.
Okay.
So I think they might have hung around in high school until the time when they were supposed to graduate, but of course they weren't going to. They didn't pass enough classes to do that. But then when all of their classmates went off, then they just maybe stopped going to school because they're done too. They're just kind of
True.
going with the flow. However, I can also see a situation where they might have half-heartedly continued high school for as long as they could because chances are they were getting turned down for jobs due to a lack of any kind of diploma, no GED, no credentials whatsoever besides Burger World. And is that manager really going to give them a recommendation? I don't think so.
No.
So this got me to thinking because I knew somebody in my high school that was 21 years old and finishing up high school herself. She was allowed to attend through age 21 to get her high school diploma. And that was not just a rule for her. That was a rule for the county, period, any student. And then after that, if you don't get it done, you're stuck with a GED. But if you want to keep going, you can continue until you're 21. And that was at least the case then and in the county where we grew up. And I don't know how much that varies from place to place, but if this is a fairly common thing, maybe that is something they did in lieu of working more or, because obviously they're not college bound. Sorry, there's colleges. You mean more school? No way.
No way.
No. If anything, if they had to go to school, they would just keep going to high school because they already kind of know that drill. They know they can slack off and do whatever most of the time. Whereas in college, that would not fly.
No, absolutely not, says the college teacher.
Right? So, yeah, it got me thinking a little bit, but really, the bottom line of it all is no, they did not graduate high school. So, this is already limiting their options in life.
Speaking of options in life, one of the things that tends to happen in our 20s and 30s is we tend to fall into a career.
Yeah.
What do you think Beavis and Butt-head are doing for a career? Career in very big air quotes there.
Right, because career? No. No. Well, first of all, we know that they got fired from Burger World at some point.
True.
And I would love to know what happened.
What was the straw that broke the camel's back?
Seriously, think about all of the shit they have done over the years that didn't get them fired from Burger World. What actually did?
I would watch that episode.
I sure as fuck would too. And so then here's the thing. They get fired from Burger World at some point, right? And maybe they have to go to the unemployment office, or maybe they just apply for jobs on their own. Here's a list of prospective jobs that I think they might have tried and failed at over the years.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay, first up, handing out samples at a store like a Costco or Sam's Club or whatever, and they just ended up eating all the food themselves.
I could see that.
They got a week in this job, but in that week, they ate real good. Another possibility, night clerk at a hotel. The problem is, they slept through the majority of their shifts because they weren't used to working nights, and they probably got fired in less than a week.
Yeah, that sounds about right, too.
And I really want to see this episode. One day. They worked one day at Pencer Gifts in the mall. And this whole day is consumed by Beavis staring at the lava lamps, and then Butthead can't pull away from the sex toys. And then they're fired.
I think that sounds perfect.
So they might have been able to have tried some jobs over the years, but they don't have any really super good qualifications, much less anything that resembles a career. Just not really possible for where they're at. And then that eventually at some point leads them to the unemployment office. We know that much. And I have a feeling the unemployment office hates these guys, that for years, they've just been cutting them the check to get them out of their hair. Like, here's your money, go buy some beer, get out.
Nice.
Now, that's all of my theories. What have you got?
I really struggled on this question. What are they doing for work? Because I really do think they're in that same position that you just talked about. They're not going to be able to hold a job for more than a few weeks, a few months at best, especially like the older you get, the less patience you get from employers, right?
Oh,
If you're a
yeah.
16-year-old working at Burger World, they expect you not to know shit. So when you screw up, it's like, okay, yeah, the teenager screwed up, but they don't know what they're doing. They're new to this world.
They need to learn.
But by the time you're 29 or 32, that grace period's done. They're just not going to mess with you.
Right.
So I think that there's opportunities for them to maybe have fulfilled some menial jobs, but there's no way they lasted in any of them. And I think Butthead ended up on disability. I think he got injured, started getting disability checks, ended up on the couch, and never left.
Ooh, I can completely see that. Maybe he worked a construction job or something that, I don't know, broke his femur or something.
Well, and it's his fault, too.
Of course.
It was totally him doing something stupid that ended up with him getting injured, but now he has to get disability because that's what you do when you get injured at work, even if it is your fault. So I think that that's what happened, and then Beavis was getting his unemployment check. So between disability and unemployment, that's kind of how they were able to at least keep a roof over their heads.
That sounds very plausible.
And with this, we had just kind of mentioned it, they are very clearly living together as adults.
Yes, which brings up our next question.
Exactly. When do you think they moved out? Like, at what age do you think these two were adult enough to be able to handle their own rent or their own house payment or whatever? When did that happen? How did that happen? How do you envision that?
So, you struggled with the last question. This is the question I struggled with.
Okay.
And I think ultimately where I land on it is that they were forced out. And now the question is, why? I'm not completely sure. Given that Beavis and Butthead live in Section 8 housing, old Beavis and Butthead, I think maybe something or someone forced them out and this was their only option. And perhaps the rent is automatically taken out of disability, unemployment, what have you, so that they don't even have to worry about paying the bill. And that makes their lives a lot easier.
That makes sense. I like that theory a lot.
Now, beyond that, though, I'm at a little bit of a loss. Did they really think that they could go out on their own? I mean, sure, every teenager fantasizes about that, right? But really, are Beavis and Butthead that motivated? I don't think so. So that is why I land with they were forced out, had to find a place to live, and this is ultimately where things go.
So I'm going to build on that theory if that's all right.
Oh, please do.
Because I do think they were also forced out. They grew up basically together, and the lore on this is amazing. I was reading a little bit of this today, which is the house they're in as teenagers. Is it Beavis's house or is it Butthead's house? There's no clear answer.
We do know that now, don't we? In Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe?
We do know it now, yeah.
It's surely Beavis's house.
Yeah. But for a long time, that was really, really unclear. And I think Shirley Beavis, despite being pretty bad mom, was at least competent enough to make payments on a house. And it was a small house. It was not a great house. But I think she owned it.
Mm.
And then I think she died.
Oh.
And then I think her bank account stopped being a thing because she's no longer alive.
And then it ran out of money.
Well, even if it didn't run out of money, Beavis and Butthead didn't know that you had to pay for a house.
Truth.
So the payments just stopped coming, foreclosure hit, and they were forced out that way. That's my guess.
Ooh, interesting. Now, with Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe, they mentioned that the house had been abandoned for a long time. But that's one timeline.
Sure. Well, and it can be abandoned, like they were foreclosed and kicked out, and then the house stayed abandoned after that. That's entirely possible.
Maybe. Oh, okay, I really want to hear from our audience on this one. Can you connect all the dots on your conspiracy theory board and make some magic happen?
Definitely something that I would love to see.
Yeah. All right. Here's a fun question. This was a fun one to think about because this was inevitably going to happen. Yeah, and that is the first time Beavis and Butthead got drunk. How did that happen? What's your theory?
So I do want to preface this a little bit because it was very much an MTV thing that anytime alcohol came up in the show, they're always mentioning that they've never had it, right? There's never a time in the original run or in any of the reboots when teenage Beavis and Butthead have had access to mind-altering drugs any stronger than paint thinner. Right?
Don't Bogart it, dude.
Exactly. So, and every time one of them brags about having drank a beer before, the other one's like, you're a liar. So I think that was actually a really smart move by the writers of those episodes to be like, they're not dumb because they're on drugs. They're dumb because they're dumb. So you couldn't attribute it to any sort of drug use. Super smart writing.
Yeah, because we've all seen the stoner comedies, which are fun, but that's not what this show needed to be.
No. And with that, I think they did not have access until they were legally able to buy it themselves. One, they're not smart enough to get anyone else to buy it for them. Two, they're not charismatic enough to get anyone else to buy it for them. So I think it was right around one of their 21st birthdays, something happened. But what's your theory?
Well, my theory kind of leads into your theory.
Okay.
I agree that there was probably no way they got their hands on alcohol before their 21st birthday. And I assume Butthead is the older of the two. I looked on the Beavis and Butthead Wikipedia. Nothing's confirmed on their birth dates. So, I mean, aside from like the actual date, apparently they were born in 1978. So we know that. So I'm guessing that on Butthead's 21st birthday, when the poor cashier at Maxi Mart had to sell him actual beer, that's when the moment happened. Now, Butthead was probably just generous enough to let Beavis have some, but Butthead had way more. And I suspect this also happened on his 18th birthday as well, with cigarettes. The day he could buy a pack, he did it.
Yeah.
And then, you know what? They've not stopped since.
So with that, another milestone that we typically hit in our late teens to 20s to maybe our early 30s is our first serious relationship.
Yes. Big milestone.
My brain hurts trying to think of either Beavis or Butthead in a serious relationship. Oh my goodness. So I think we can pretty much rule out the idea of them having a girlfriend, any kind of long-term thing. So here's the question. Did they ever score?
I have a feeling the answer is not just no, but hell no. Look, they still hadn't figured out where the strip club is in Highland. We learned that in the episode Polling Place.
Right.
So they missed all the days of, say, Lolita and Tanqueray when they were gigging at the strip club. When they were in their early 20s, they missed out on that whole moment. You'd think that'd be right up their alley, but they are probably not smart enough to even get there. And that was probably their best shot at scoring, because at least Lolita and Tanqueray would have put out.
True.
Aside from that, yeah, a real serious relationship, certainly not for Butthead. I think Beavis has the capacity, but I don't think anybody he encounters is going to entertain that notion with him, and certainly not with Butthead around. Like, really, it's just not in the cards. So with that, I think since they missed those moments, they just kept spanking their monkeys like they always have.
I personally disagree.
Tell me why.
I think they each got lucky somehow, and it was pure luck. It was not skill. It was not any sort of charisma or anything. I think they just happened to encounter a woman at her lowest.
Oh, this poor lady.
Maybe they were a rebound. Maybe she was just like, okay, I just need someone for the night. Here's the next person who walks in the door. And that next person happened to just be Beavis or Butthead. And I think they both stumbled into that at some point because I think they're haunting places where women are at their lowest. I think they're haunting the places where that kind of luck is more apt to happen.
Okay, it's not completely out of bounds. That's for sure. It could happen. Again, I would love the audience input on this one. What are your theories? Did they score or didn't they?
Well, and that leads into the big question. Do you think they ever had children?
Yeah, I had to think on this one. And it occurred to me that Beavis mentioned when he went to the unemployment office that he donates sperm for money. And that does bring up the possibility that even if he's never scored, he could theoretically have children out there.
Wow, I hadn't even thought about that. That's so true.
However, is the sperm clinic really going to use his sperm? Okay, because, I mean, I'm sorry, but he's not the best prospect that they have, most likely, even in Highland, Texas. And so maybe it's like the unemployment office theory I've got where they let him do it. He gets some pleasure out of the porno mags, spanks his monkey, gives him lots of sperm, and then they give him a little stipend for his hard-earned trouble. But they don't ever use it. They just destroy it.
Like normally somebody gets like $100 or something like that. They just give them a $5 bill and then just throw it in the trash.
Something like that. Yeah. Or they give him like a gift card so he can buy beer or something. Because even if they do keep the sperm around and say you're looking through the catalog of donors, is anybody picking Beavis? Boy, there's not a whole lot you're putting on that profile that identifies him as a good candidate for that sort of thing. So maybe there's a whole lot of Beavis sperm out there that's not being used.
I think if he calls himself Geraldo, he's got at least halfway decent chance, though.
Maybe with that one lady at the dating service.
And one of the things that I've come to realize becoming a part of the Beavis and Butt-head online fandom, and maybe this is a topic we can explore in another episode too, is how many Beavis Stan accounts and Butt-head Stan accounts there are, where it's like, these guys are so cute. I love them so much. I did not realize that those were people that actually existed until we really entered the fandom. And I don't know, maybe there's an actual chance that somebody would see those two and be like, oh, how adorable. I can fix him.
Oh, there are probably so many poor souls who actually do believe that. Sorry, guys, but the answer is no, it will not go the way you want it to. Now, that gets me thinking about something. You remember the letters to Santa Butthead and all the women that wrote into Beavis?
Yes.
Asking for Beavis, I will feed him, I'll give him shelter, I'll take good care of him. Maybe there is a section of the audience who really would do this. I hadn't thought about that.
Right? And my goodness, I hope some of those people use their real names, because obviously, like Karen Cleavage, that's not her real name. But at the same time, I don't know why I remember this name, but Aaron Cater.
Oh my God.
If you're out there and you would marry Beavis or Butthead,
yeah,
please reach out to us. Please reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you.
You may be able to help solve a mystery.
You know what I need to do for our podcast is come up with an Unsolved Mysteries soundbite to insert every time when we have our moment of, hey, if you're out there.
That's a really good idea.
I think it's got to happen. I think I'm going to insert that into this episode, and if I did, you've already heard it.
Nice.
So really, all of the things that we've been saying lead up to our final question that we've outlined for ourselves, and that is, how has their sense of stability been throughout their adulthood? And I think without saying it, we've already said it, but how about if you clarify where exactly you think they fall on the stability scale?
Very low. And I got to thinking about the things that happened between the time I was about 23 or so and the time I was 33 or so, right? All the things that sort of happened that gave my life stability in addition to meeting the love of my life.
Yeah.
Right? But I was able to do things like get consistent employment. Beavis and Butt-head didn't have that. I was able to start a retirement fund. Beavis and Butt-head aren't going to have that. I was even beyond or before a retirement fund, I was able to build some savings. Beavis and Butt-head aren't going to be able to do that. I was able to travel a bit. We were able to go some really cool places. Beavis and Butt-head, if they leave Highland, it's by accident.
Yes, entirely.
They don't have an emergency fund. They don't have insurance. And one of my favorite details about new old Beavis is that he very clearly has broken teeth.
Yes, we need to know that story.
Yeah, but it's obvious they don't have the ability to take care of those things in the moment. He does have glasses, and I have a theory on that. Because, not to get too deep in the woods on this, but I've had family who have done time. And the glasses that they give you in prison are actually pretty decent.
Oh.
They stand up pretty well because you can't wear contacts in prison. So if you've got bad vision, they're going to hook you up. And I think he just walked out one day with them on and nobody stopped him.
Oh, interesting. So you think Beavis has been in prison?
I think those are at least prison glasses or jail glasses, yes.
Okay. You know, even if they've not been in prison, maybe they've been in the drunk tank once or twice, maybe a few times.
Yeah, true. And look around. Do they have any hobbies? I mean, kind of, but not consistently. Family, like family connections, clearly those are missing. There's no home ownership, as we talked about. Maybe housing is the only stable thing they have, and it might even be out of their hands that they have stable housing even to begin with, just like you were talking about. So is there any sense of stability? I honestly doubt it.
I think the answer is no, definitely not. Very little stability. The housing maybe being the most consistent thing, along with a little stipend of money to buy their food and beer and cigarettes. That's it.
Sure. Yeah.
They are not living happy, healthy, or fulfilling lives, really, in any way. But this really is the best that they can do for themselves. They've missed practically every single kind of milestone you can have as an emerging adult in your life. Now, to their credit, they've kept themselves alive, but that really is about it. And one thing I do want to say that maybe we should have said at the top of the show is that there is like no particular order to these types of events, and it's not a race, and not everybody hits every milestone.
True.
But the fact that Beavis and Butt-head hit none of them is the point.
And the other thing about all of these accomplishments is that they're great when you're in your 20s and 30s. As you get into your 40s, 50s, 60s, it actually matters less and less and less. And I think you reach a point where you're just happy to be alive still. And
yeah.
I think Beavis and Butt-head maybe have lived their entire lives like that, where they're just happy to be alive. And maybe, just maybe, they're ahead of the curve on the rest of us by living that way.
That's a really good point. They live simpler lives, that's for sure, where they don't have to worry about insurance policies and mortgages and whether the kid is going to daycare after school or what have you. I mean, that's definitely a lot less stress in a lot of ways, but also takes away probably a lot of reward and happiness. And ultimately, as people, they have not accomplished much.
No. The thing is, when we all eventually shuffle off this mortal coil, we all end up in the same place. So
it's true. We're worm food.
And that's our take on Beavis and Butt-head in their 20s and 30s. So did we get it right? Did we miss? Are we way off?
Yeah.
Do you agree with us, but you disagree with how we got there?
Yeah, tell us.
Yeah, we would love to hear from you. You know how to do that, right? I do.
I do too, and I can tell you. Go to our website, tpforyourearholes.com. You can fill out the contact form and tell us all of your theories. Or you can go on social media and write a comment on our post about this episode and say, hey, guys, either that was right on or that was absolute bullshit. We don't really care. We just love hearing from you. You can write a comment on YouTube. If you're listening to us via YouTube, you can do all of those things. We love it and appreciate it when you do let us know that you're out there. So if you do have some theories, I am just chomping at the bit to know what they are. Please, please, please reach out and tell us if you can take the time.
Yeah.
Thank you all you ass goblins out there for joining us, because when we're recording this, it's officially spooky season.
Woohoo.
And next week, we're going to get back to music videos. It's been a hot minute.
Finally.
Yeah. We're going to list out our favorite Beavis and Butt-head music video commentaries. So we hope you will join us for that next week.
Let me give you just a little bit of taste of what's to come. You treat your stepmother with respect, Pantera, or you'll be sleeping in the street.